It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. It's Monday morning. Hey, that's Mark Hilliard, Indiana County Chamber of Commerce across the way. Conversation presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm, best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. So the last time you were here, we were talking, hey, coming up, two big events, Eggs and Issues and the Business Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now we're on the other side of those. Those have just happened, and both went very, very well, I understand.
We actually had three because we had the Business Roundtable, which wasn't an open ticket event, but that happened on last Wednesday, I think it was, or last Tuesday now. So I'm getting all the dates wrong. But, yeah, we had a couple of major events with Eggs and Issues in the Hall of Fame. Both went very well. It's now able to take a little bit of a breath and breathe easier now that they're behind us. But Hall of Fame, I think I've said it at the event itself, is my favorite event of the year. I've enjoyed that. Out of all the ones that we do, it's just, I think the meaning behind it and being able to hear some of the speeches. And we've gotten such good feedback, and so many of the people, including some of the inductees, came up to us afterwards and said it's great listening to some of these folks and watching the videos and being able to see and learn about, who these people were. Like, you hear some of the names, but even John Sutton, you hear the name and you don't really know what he did. Did he found IUP, or was he a president of IUP? What was his role? And then you start to watch the video and you hear some of the comments that are made, and you learn so much more about not just about the individual, but about how the school came here to Indiana County. And there are so many of those little speeches and tidbits of information that you learn, and as I hear the speeches, it's empowering, because you start to think about what these individuals did to help shape Indiana into what it is now. But it's also you see a lot of similarities between certain environments then, certain environments now, whether it's back in the late 1800s with Sutton, whether it's in the 30s, 40s, and 50s with Heath Clark, or 80s and 90s with some of the other individuals. There's a lot of similarities, and we certainly see some things that we start to feel good about, and hoping to take some of that information and shape our next generation of leaders. So it's a great event. Eggs and Issues went fantastic, but I don't take credit for that. That's Senator Pittman, Representative Struzzi, and Representative Smith. They were very candid, I thought, and we had some really good questions, and some of them weren't softball questions either. And they did a great job with it. So
yeah,
two events went smoothly, and our business education roundtable that we had last week at IUP was really, really good. We had a lot of very good individuals there from our educational partners, both K through 12, post-secondary education, IUP, WCCC. The tech schools are both there, and we had a lot of business individuals, a lot of folks from the business community, as well as our state legislators, and I think the theme of that day seemed to be collaboration, and I think that was one thing that we learned a lot about, things that were needed in the educational community, also needed or potentially will need in the business community. And I think we found a few different themes that we're going to try to work on, some action items there to help both sides. And that was our goal at the Chamber, and IUP helped us with that as well. But it was good to bring that back, and I think it was important to be able to have everybody be able to share exactly what they're thinking and feeling about the next 5 years in the county and what their needs may be.
I think one of the interesting things about Eggs and Issues in particular is we get to see not only are we, of course, frustrated from time to time at the pace of change and about things we hear are coming, and are they really? And we see that with the power plant and with the former Wyotech facility. Those are particularly frustrating from the general public's point of view, but even from the lawmakers' views, because they know the value of those properties, and they know the potential for them to really make a difference in Indiana County. And yeah, we'd love to have that power plant converted and up and running today, but it takes time for especially something like that.
Well, and I could speak that what they said about some of the topics that were brought up is the same thing that we hear from them candidly when they talk behind closed doors. So the frustration is real, and it's not something that they're just waiting for some reason to make an announcement, or they're waiting to do something. They want something done there too. They want it done yesterday. The same thing with the old Wyotech or the NVI facility. You know, they're doing the best that they can to try to move this along, and not just have something to go in there, but make sure that it's something that can really make a difference in the county, not from a workforce perspective, but a tax base and everything else. And I think that, you know, some of the things they're working on could do that, but you know, they don't happen overnight, and sometimes it's out of their hands too when you have private ownership of certain properties that, you know, you can only do so much, you know, but you're not the owner, so there's only so much pressure you can do, only so many things that you can try to work on, but ultimately, in some cases, it's not up to them.
Yeah, viability is a key there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so we look forward then to things coming up, both from the Chamber's perspective and from the overall business climate perspective in Indiana County. Mm-hmm. And I know sometimes we might be accused of painting a rosy picture, but it in comparison to some other areas of Western PA, it really is actually kind of rosy here in Indiana County.
Well, you know, we talked about our board meeting last Thursday we had, and we talked again. Collaboration seemed to be a running theme there, but we had, you know, Representative Struzzi and Dave Reed, who was formerly, you know, the House leader, and he they were sharing some thoughts, and what we had one of the individuals from a group called the KSA Group, who is a group that we as a CEO work with, that helped to bring Urban Outfitters here and told a lot of the stories, but both Representative Struzzi and Dave talked about how it makes a big difference when you have people like an Urban looking at Indiana County and seeing everybody working together and the collaboration that exists here. And they both said that this really doesn't happen everywhere. And when you look at other areas and they're trying to ask for funding, or they're trying to ask for, you know, help with getting a business to come to that area, and they see, you know, the opposite of collaboration in some of those areas. I think one of them said, get this worked out. You get this worked out, talk to us in 10 years, and we'll see what we can do. Mm-hmm. And we don't have that in Indiana County. We have the collaboration already existing here, so it makes it a lot easier for somebody like a Representative Struzzi, and certainly like Senator Pittman in his leadership role, to be able to advocate for Indiana on certain projects or certain funding, and it makes it a lot easier for us to get those projects or that funding because we have everybody pulling on the same rope, and that does not exist everywhere. I know it sounds, like you said, rosy, but it's absolutely the truth. And when you talk with my counterparts, or you know, you talk with the legislators' counterparts or the county commissioners, when they talk with other counties and representatives from the other counties, it's not the same as Indiana, and that's the absolute truth. And I do think it paints a more rosier picture for the future.
The transition from Senator White to Senator Pittman was so valuable. The fact that Senator Pittman was actually in Senator White's office for so long, had all of those relationships filled up, and immediately upon getting to Harrisburg, he was put into some positions that probably leapfrogged others who might have either thought they were in line, or people on the outside looking in would have said that they were in line. But Pittman was put right up there and took off running with that role.
And came into it right as COVID was starting, and so did Representative Struzzi. But they were both thrust into really more of a leadership role immediately because they had to fight for our area of what was happening, not just with COVID, but with Reggie. So, I mean, there were some things that happened immediately when they took office that forced them into some of those roles quicker than maybe they would have, but I think they both did admirably. And as Senator Pittman, you can see where he is now. I think that was in large part, not just because of the relationships he built as former Senator White's, chief of staff, but also, what he was able to do the minute he got into office. So I think it's amazing when you look back at the leadership we've had in this county from the state, not just, with Dave Reed, with Pittman, and now with going back even further with Sam Smith, who had, was close to Indiana County as well. I just think we've had a long history of leadership in this region at the state level, and that's a blessing for us, and I think it's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, it goes back all the way to Senator Stapleton and everything that he did. It's pretty amazing that we've had such strong representation. So what's coming up for Chamber of Commerce?
So next Tuesday we have an after hours over at S&T Bank where we're going to announce this year's Athena finalists. So We're excited about that. There will be a luncheon in October to recognize the Athena finalists and name the recipient for this year's award. But next Tuesday is an after hours over at S&T Bank. October the 10th, we also have an after hours at the new First Commonwealth branch. And that's important for us, extra important, because now when that branch is opening up, it means that they've vacated the old branch, which will be our future home at 600 Philadelphia Street. So we're really anxious for that after hours and get started on building out the new home of not just the Chamber, but the Tourist Bureau in downtown Indiana. So those are the two big events coming up Tuesday and then October the 10th, and we're starting the planning for the annual meeting as well right now. So we're hoping to have some more details, and I'm sure by the time we talk again, you and I, that we'll have a date, a speaker, and more to talk about.
Yeah, Dave Reed and Aaron Doherty actually going to be in later this month to talk about all of that from their perspective.
That'll be great.
Good things happening. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Todd.
It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, and it's 2 away from 9.